And my husband, Joey, and I have been members of this Grace Community family for over 20 years now. I want to start by saying that I have always known God. As a young child, before my parents got divorced, I was raised a strict Southern Baptist. And for any of you know, that means church every Sunday morning, lunch with the pastor, church on Sunday nights, and fellowship on Wednesday evenings. I will always be grateful to my parents because they gave me what I call my faith base. Now, does that mean I can stand up here and tell everyone that I've been a perfect Christian for 60 years? No. In fact, there have been times in my life that I was almost ashamed to say that I was a Christian because of the actions that I have. But I always knew there was a welcome place in my Father's arms of forgiveness for me. When our youngest daughter was about 3 years old, I was diagnosed with something called polycystic kidney disease. It is a hereditary kidney disease. My father had it, my sister had it. It was then, and it still is now, incurable. For 20 years, I did everything I could to keep myself healthy. I exercised, I ate right, gave up Diet Coke and sodium and did all the things that I was supposed to do. But most importantly, my friend Stacy told me, keep being faithful, keep being a diligent servant to God, and He will take care of you. In 2019, I got the news that I had been dreading for a long, long time. I was being put on the kidney transplant list. It was very scary. So I went to my car and I cried for about 30 minutes. And then I had a conversation with God. And I said, all right, you got this. We've got this. And the only thing that I asked from God, was to use my body for His will. Lord, please let something good come out of this. Now, in my human mind, I'm thinking, my kids are going to come back to church. My husband's going to join a men's group, simple things. I never, in a million years, could have ever imagined what God's plan is. You know that old saying, make your plans and sit back and watch God laugh? Well, He did. We had a donor awareness dinner here at the church. We had a previous kidney donor come and speak. We had a donor coordinator come and speak. We had a nurse come speak. And it was basically just to let people know what it means to be a living donor. One of the women that attended this dinner was Teresa Speck. After the dinner was over with, Teresa said she felt an overwhelming call from God to do this process. She felt that God had called her to be my donor. So she went home, she talked to John, and they both agreed that if this is what God was calling her to do, this is what they needed to do. So she started the testing process. Well, a couple weeks later, she came up to our house and she let Joey and I know that not only was she a match, she was a perfect match, a 10 out of 10. Which rarely happens. You can only imagine the overwhelming emotion that my husband and I had, that this woman that we had simply met in passing at church was willing to do this for us. So she started the testing program. Her 24-hour urine test, the results had come back on a Monday. But her donor coordinator was going to be out of the office for the whole week, so she wouldn't get the results back until Friday. On Wednesday, she had a colonoscopy. And if anybody knows Teresa, she made it perfectly clear to me that the only reason she was having this test was for me. When she came out of sedation, the doctor looked at her and said, I want to tell your story. And she asked him why. He said, donating for this woman just saved your life. They found a polyp so large in Teresa that a year from then it would have been full-blown cancer. There would have been nothing they could have done about it. When John and Teresa came to our house that night to tell us, she was devastated. She was crying. And I told her, no tears. God didn't call you to save my life. God called you to save your own. He simply used my body as a vessel, as I had asked him to. Now, I told you that I had always known God. I have a completely different relationship with him now. When you see him work in your life like that, it just changes you. The next person on the list to become a donor was Susan Mixon. And Susan and I had conversations. Her hesitancy, because I need to explain that to be a donor is 10 times harder than being a recipient. The surgery is very invasive. The recovery time is long. It's a pretty drawn out process. And when you are the only one providing for your family, there is going to be hesitation. And I completely understood that. But even with that, Susan felt this was something she was called to do. On February 5th of 2020, I was on my way to Tulsa to a Celine Dion concert when I got the call that there was another possible kidney. Now, this was the third time we had gone to Little Rock for a possible kidney. We had been denied the first 2 times, so we kind of kept it on the lowdown and didn't tell anybody. When I got to the hospital, Susan had called me and said, hey, just thought I'd let you know, we're a match. I said, all right, Susan, keep those prayers coming. I'm at the hospital right now for a potential kidney. So we went up to the room, got settled in. About 11:30 that night, the phone rang in my hospital room, and it was the doctor letting me know the kidney was mine. On February 6th of 2020, I received the greatest gift that anybody could receive. Not only did I receive the gift of life, but I received the gift of my Father saying, thank you, my faithful servant. And I received the gift of 2 new friends that I can never tell you how grateful I am for what they were willing to do for me. Now, I'd love to stand up here and tell you that the last 5 years has just been tiptoeing through the tulips and holding hands, running and skipping, but anyone who's married and the parents of 6 daughters knows that's not the case. Shortly after my transplant, my sister lost her battle with PKD. And in 2021, my husband and I suffered a loss that no parent ever wants to suffer. I fully believe that it is only our faith in God that has let us cope with that loss. I will not say get over it, because you don't ever get over the loss of a child. You simply learn to cope with it on a daily basis. But on the same hand, there has been some awesome memories. We welcomed a new granddaughter. We have welcomed 2 new great-grandchildren. I got to watch my husband and my ex-husband join together to walk our daughter down the aisle to marry a wonderful man. And in 2 short months, I get to again watch my husband walk our youngest baby down the aisle to marry a man that she prayed for, a man God sent her. When I first stood up here, I said that my husband and I had been members of this Grace community family for 20 years. And I say that because that's what we are. This is our family. This is the Christ family that we choose. And in the last 20 years, everything that my husband and I have gone through, the loss of my mother, the loss of his mother, the loss of our daughter, the transplant, It's been the people in this place that have been there for us. Whether it's a meal, whether it's just coming to pray with us, whether it's coming to my house, cleaning my entire house and doing all my laundry while I was recovering, or whether it's something as simple as a prayer group me, a group of women that get on their phones every day to pray for each other. This year, I was very fortunate. I got to work with a confirmation class, all 17 of them. And I told these young people, confirmation is one of the most exciting times of your walk with Jesus. It's a time you get to choose. You get to choose to be a Christ follower. You get to choose to be a member of this place we call Grace. And don't ever forget how blessed we are to live in a place where we can openly say, I am a Christian. I am a Christ follower. If there's any of you out there that have been visiting or coming a while and don't know if this place is right for you, all I can tell you from my personal experience is that you are never going to meet a more compassionate, kind, caring group of Christian followers than the people that are in this building. And I, for one, am blessed to call myself a member of Grace Community Church.